You already know how this one goes. The favourite looks like the safest thing on the card, so you take it, because taking it is the sensible thing to do. And come the end of the season, the bank has gone backwards again. Not by much, just steadily. Back in December 2006, a bloke writing in Practical Punting as Mr. Money decided he'd stop taking anybody's word for that and go and count for himself. 660 races, one at a time. And what came out the other end wasn't the favourite, and it wasn't the roughie either. It was one number sitting in between the two, and it turned a profit every single way he cut the block. I'll tell you which one before we're finished. One quick thing before we begin. There's a free companion guide to go with this, with Mr. Money's full set of figures for all 6 favourites. The link's in the description below. Grab it and you can follow along as we go. Here's how he tells it. I've spent years trying to beat the TAB and bookies, and I've lost my bank more times than I can remember. There have been a few big wins, as many as a man with only 3 fingers could count on one hand, but I've been steadily making progress. My bank lasts a lot longer now than it used to. My basic problem was this. I never believed what I read or was told by those so-called experts. Nah, I had to find out for myself that what most of them said was, in fact, correct. Take favourites, for example. The first favourite will win more races than the second favourite, and second faves will win more than the third, and so on, down to the rank outsider. But it's a known fact, to the experts anyway, that punting regularly on first favourites can be fatal to your bank balance. At the other end of the scale, while the rank outsider pays big, it doesn't come in often enough to risk following on a regular basis. My old dad had a saying that he reckoned he'd got from a bloke called Confucius. He'd clasp his hands together, squint his eyes, bob his head up and down, and say with a sing-song lisp, "Fools learn by experience, wise men by keen observation." I learnt the truth the hard way about favourites and outsiders, and also learnt that I wasn't wise. Eventually, it occurred to me that somewhere in between the two, maybe about halfway, might be the answer. So I started to do some research. Checking back over 660 races, the results showed that there were 7,363 horses involved. This gives an average of 11 runners in each race. So, deciding to focus on the 5th and 6th favourites as my chosen selections, I was keen to see how they performed. Here are the figures for the first 6 favourites. As expected, the first favourite won most races, 174 of them, while the rest won less and less. Of the 2 I was interested in, the 5th favourite was profitable, but not enough to get excited about at this stage, while the 6th favourite was hopeless. Second favourites won 128 races, third 106, fourth 70, 5th 65, and 6th favourites won 31. These are strike rates of 26%, 19%, 16%, 11%, 10%, and 5%. Interestingly, favourites had an average dividend of $2.80, about 7 to 4, but showed a dramatic 25% loss on turnover. Second favs had an average dividend of $4.60 and lost only 10%, while third favourites, with an average dividend of $6.10, showed only a 2% loss. In contrast, 5th favourites, with an average dividend of $10.80, returned a 6% profit. 6th favourites showed a loss of 34%. Would it be possible to improve the profitability further? I could dramatically reduce my total outlay by deciding to only bet on the races where the first favourite was paying between $2 and $3 inclusive. Doing this reduced the number of races to 262, with 2,749 runners. The results showed 81 wins for the first fabs, 58 for second fabs, 39 for third fabs, 23 for fourth fabs, 27 for fifth fabs, and 11 for sixth fabs. These are strike rates of 31%, 22%, 15%, 9%, 10%, and 4%. Once again though, the first favourites were a losing proposition with a 22% loss, while second faves broke even and third faves showed a 10% loss. Fourth faves lost 24%. Fifth favourites again showed a profit, this time of 13%, while sixth favourites lost 37%. This approach achieved my aim of improving returns from the fifth favourite. Summing up for this angle, if the first favourite is paying between $2 and $3, then bet to win on the fifth favourite. 2 seconds, then we're back on it. If there's something in this video for you, a like puts it in somebody else's evening, and that's the only advertising it ever gets. There's a new one every day at present, weekly further along, so a subscribe keeps them coming. The loud stuff always travels fastest, and it's really the useful stuff, is it? That's it. Back to it. A different angle might be to only bet on the races with 10, 11, or 12 runners. Doing this brings the number of races to 269, with 2,967 runners, and the outcome is interesting. The first favourites won 66, second favourites 56, third faves 32, fourth faves 34, fifth faves 30, and sixth faves 10. These are strike rates of 25%, 21%, 12%, 13%, 11%, and 4%. First favourites showed a loss of 30%. Second faves lost only 4%. Third faves went down 27%. Fourth faves won 1%. Fifth faves won 25%. And sixth faves lost 51%. Once again then, the fifth favourite was profitable and worth betting on. The fourth was just profitable, but I'd hardly bother with it. So if there are 10, 11 or 12 runners in a race, bet on the fifth favourite. At least that's the message from the test block of races I used. That's 2 angles. He had 2 more. All of the above results are from both metropolitan and country tracks. What would the results have been if I had only considered metropolitan tracks? The total number of races in that case was 304, with 3,524 runners. And here, the results were that first favourites had a strike rate of 25% for a 27% loss on turnover. Second faves struck 19% winners and lost 8%. Third faves won 18% and had a profit of 5%. Fourth faves had an 11% strike rate and a 13% loss on turnover. Fifth faves had an 11% strike rate and won 12% on turnover, while sixth faves had a 4% strike rate and a loss on turnover of 47%. While the fifth favourite was profitable once again, the third favourite now became profitable. So what if I only bet on country or non-metropolitan tracks? The total number of races then was 356, with 3,839 runners, and these showed that first faves lost 22% on turnover, second faves lost 12%, third faves lost 7%, fourth faves lost 15%, fifth faves won 1%, and sixth faves lost 22%. The final summing up shows that first, second, and sixth favourites have never been profitable. The fifth favourite was the only one that was profitable under all circumstances. Its best performance was in races with 10, 11, or 12 runners. That covers betting to win. What about betting for a place? Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but place betting was not profitable for any one of the favourites in any one of the angles. So there's your number, the fifth favourite. Not the one anybody talks about, and not the one you'd have reached for on a Saturday. The only one on Mr. Money's whole list that came out in front however he cut the block, and best of the lot in a field of 10, 11 or 12. I couldn't fit every one of those figures into a few minutes here, so I've written the whole lot down for you in the free ebook. Every angle he tried, every strike rate, every return on turnover, set out so you can check the sums for yourself, instead of taking my word for it. The link's just below this video. Keep it beside you when you're doing the form on a Saturday. And remember, never bet more than you can afford to lose. Right, that's me for now. Look after yourself, take your time over the form, and I'll see you soon.